Welcome back to another Twilight Masquerade TCG guide. This time we're going to be looking at Palafin EX. This card has a whopping 340 HP. Its attack Giga Impact does a huge 250 damage for a single energy. I'm really surprised this Pokemon has not been seen more in the competitive play. If it had, I'd have ranked this an A tier, but I think because it's more of a fun to play deck at the moment and I've not seen someone unlock it in competitive play, it's probably more of a really high B tier Pokemon. So it's a fun to play card still. At some point it's probably going to tip into A tier. I'm sure someone's going to be able to unlock the potential of this card. And the reason I think it's struggling is because of its Hero Spirit ability. You have to put this Pokemon into play only with the effect of Palafin's 0 to Hero ability. And that Palafin is the non-EX variant, so it has this 0 to Hero ability that once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from the active spot to the bench, you may search your deck for a Palafin EX. You then switch it with this Pokemon, and any attached cards, damage counters, etc., and shuffle this card back into your deck. Now this Palafin's not too bad, it's got a single retreat cost, which is really good. It allows you to attach an energy to put it onto the bench to be able to switch in Palafin EX. And 100 HP is nice because you're dodging the likes of Radiant Greninja, which can hit 2 of your Pokemon for 90 HP. Quickly looking at the Twilight Masquerade Finizen, which is obviously you're going to need to evolve into Palafin. This is a phenomenal basic evolution Pokemon. It has 70 HP, which means it's going to be avoiding the bench sniping Dragapult EX, which can do 60 damage to one of your bench Pokemon. It has a single retreat cost again, which is really good. You can pivot this in and out of the active spot. And its Aqua Splash attack costs a single energy to do 30 damage. Now, it doesn't look like much, but for an evolution basic Pokemon, you go check out other evolution basic Pokemon. They're not dealing 30 damage. And if they are dealing 30 damage, it's usually on the flip of a coin. So the fact that you can just attach an energy, deal 30 damage, this is an example of the perfect basic evolution Pokemon that you want in your deck. There is this other Finizen, which is worth pointing out, and you might want to play one of these in your deck. It does only have 50 HP, but the whole point of this is being able to get this into the active spot if you're going second turn 1. Attaching water energy, use the Valiant Evolution, which essentially switches this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So if you have another Finizen on the bench, switch that into the active. This then gets switched onto the bench. Then you can search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon, so you can put the Palafin with the 0 to Hero ability onto this Pokemon. And then the next turn, you're set up to be able to get 2 Palafin EX onto the board, because you're going to evolve the Finizen in the active that you switched in into Palafin with that 0 to Hero ability. You can then switch both of the Palafins around, evolve the one that's now on the bench into Palafin EX, then switch it back into the active so that you can attack with it, and because you've done that, you can then evolve your other Palafin into your Palafin EX. You could also use Valiant Evolution to evolve into this other Palafin, which again I suggest you play one of these in your deck, purely for its Justice Kick attack, because there's cards like Mimikyu around that Palafin EX is not going to be able to hurt, so being able to use this other Palafin that can also do a decent amount of damage for a single prize stage 1 Pokemon, 210 is really good. So you can see how hard this is to set up because you're going to constantly have to switch your active Pokemon every single turn. Let's look at a number of cards that are going to help you switch Pokemon around. The first is Abra, which is in the Twilight Masquerade set, and we will cover this in the Psychic section, but it has Teleporter ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may shuffle it and all attached cards into your deck. So you can switch Palafin onto your bench, promote Abra into the active, evolve Palafin EX onto your Palafin, and you use Abra's Teleporter ability to shuffle it back into your deck, then promote Palafin EX onto the active, ready to attack. You can also use Dunsparce, which has the Runaway Draw ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, shuffle this Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck. So similar to Abra, you can promote Dunsparce into the active, evolve your Palafin EX on the bench, then use its Runaway Draw. The nice thing with this is that you're also drawing 3 cards into your hand, so it acts as a draw engine and a way to switch in your Palafin EX to attack. Then lastly, from a Pokemon perspective, you've got Gengar with its Night Gate ability. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. This is going to be harder to set up because it is a stage 2, so you're going to want to either evolve through Ghastly Horn to Gengar or use Rare Candies to go straight into Gengar from Ghastly. But once it's set up, and assuming your opponent doesn't try to take it out, you're going to be able to switch your Pokemon free every single turn. In terms of trainer cards, you've got item cards like Prime Catcher, which is the recommended ace spec you should use in your deck. You've got Rescue Board as a tool card. You've got Kieran, that so not only does this allow you to switch your Pokemon, but you can deal up to 280 damage with Palafin EX, and that's good at taking out V-Star Pokemon. If you play a lot of basic Pokemon in your deck, you can use Beach Court, which is essentially going to allow any of your basics with 1 energy to be able to freely retreat. You could also use Furisode Girl, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. You may switch that Pokemon with your active Pokemon. And then the last trainer card is, of course, Switch. Energy perspective, Jet Energy is actually really good. Because Palafin has a single retreat cost, you can attach a Jet Energy, promote it into the active, then use the energy to retreat, promote hopefully an Abra into your active or a Dunsparce. Then you evolve Palafin EX because you've retreated it onto the bench. then you can use the Dunsparce or Abra to shuffle back into the deck, promote Palafin EX to attack. If you do play some Luminous Energy, which will power up Palafin's attack, you could think about including Radiant Charizard as one of your endgame attackers. It deals the exact same amount of damage as Palafin EX. Now let's take a look at a number of trainer cards that are going to help Palafin deal more damage, because 250, although it's really good, there are some Pokemon with a lot higher HP. You could use the likes of Maximum Belt. Like I've already mentioned, Kieran helps you do an extra 30 damage. So does Defiance Band, so you're hitting those V-Star Pokemon that usually have 280 HP. Vitality Band is nice to push you up to 260. You could also lean into its 340 HP and bulk it up even further. With the likes of Hero's Cape, Rigid Band, because it is a stage 1 Pokemon. Because it has so much bulk, you can play Professor Churro Scenario. Quickly looking at some other alternate trainer cards, you could use Hyper Aroma. Search your deck for up to 3 stage 1 Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand. So you can evolve up your Palafins, you can evolve your Dunsparces. Artisan's really good if you're playing the Dunsparce engine, because you can always make sure that you're getting Dunsparces on the bench ready to evolve turn after turn. And it also obviously helps you get your Finizens, your Abras onto the board. Owner is actually really important, not just from a draw perspective, but also for cycling back in Palafin EXs. If you've been unlucky and you end up with a few Palafin EX in your hand, you can't actually play them onto your normal non-EX Palafin. They have to be coming from the deck. So being able to use Iono means that you can put them back to the bottom of your deck. You can then utilise Palafin's Hero to Zero ability. In terms of energy, obviously we've covered a couple already. The last one is you could play some Legacy Energy. Obviously you only need a single energy requirement on Palafin EX, which means that you can put a Palafin EX down to a single prize card, forcing your opponent to go down the 4 knockout route rather than the 3 knockout route. And that's it for this Palafin EX guide. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Are there any other cards that synergise well with Palafin EX? It will help us improve, it will help other followers of the channel improve. If you enjoyed the content, follow the channel, we appreciate the support. Until next time, that's me shuffling out again.